So the exam will be a hands-on computer proficiency exam, and you'll have 4 hours to do this exam in class. The class will extend 1 extra hour, and I'll be here until 2. The exam opens at 10 and it closes exactly at 2, meaning that you need to save all your files, package them, and upload them before 2 p.m. Okay, if not, then it will be considered late. So just make sure that you're ready for it. Module 14 holds all of the exam files that you need. You have a zip file right here, and here's the actual exam for the day. So you would come in here, and I can preview it because I'm the faculty, but here's all the instructions, prep files. Once you click preview, then here's the files that you will be downloading to begin the exam, and some instructions, and here's where you will upload the final zip file. Okay. Now, what are the files that you will be downloading that day? Well, it's actually this one, and I call it practice student files, but it's the same thing. You have the instructions, okay? So it's a PDF, and you can print this. It has 3 sections: the Photoshop section, the Illustrator section, and then the InDesign section. It also gives you the file setup files, color modes, minimum resolution, and the fonts. You are given fonts, but you can choose approximately fonts that look more or less. So the idea is that you will have to recreate this 2-sided newsletter. Okay, you're given the text copy, okay, this background, this image, and also the template for recreating this logo. And there's very specific steps or things that you must do to properly create those. Okay? So, first thing would be to install all of the fonts. Okay? And look at your assets. So here you have the body text for your newsletter, any small copy. You also have the background for Photoshop, and you have the image that's gonna go in your article, and it's gonna be text wrapped, logo template, and the texture that needs to be inserted into this cloud right here. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So let me start first by creating the name of the masthead. So if we look at our example, it's this name, similar font with an outline stroke, and the stroke has a transparency to it. So all you have to do is try to match it as best as possible, okay? Fonts that you can probably use for that, it'll be one of these Helveticas. So make sure you go through them, but it's kind of condensed and bold, so, right? Okay, so there's the name. For the stroke, we do effects layer. So right here, the layers palette, stroke, and there it is. It's a gray, like a 20 point, depending on your font size. And I'm gonna lower the opacity a little bit. There that is. Click OK. All right, now this needs to be saved in both Photoshop, right? RGB, and minimum of 150, but it's at 300, it's perfect. So you're giving instructions on what to name this file, all right? So, but it's a Photoshop. So I'm gonna just save it somewhere in my desktop for now, and I believe I can't remember the name, but it's Master Head, I believe, and then initials. And we're also supposed to save a TIFF format for our newsletter. So that needs to be one, change as a CMYK, and we merge all of the layers, and we save as TIFF. Okay. Right. So that is first section of the quiz. Now, on Illustrator, I need to recreate this logo. So I'm gonna add it as a template. So File, Place. So here's the logo template. Gonna select template from down here. Make sure that the link is unchecked. All right, and there's my template layer and layer one where I am going to recreate this logo. All right, so first, I would first create one of the wings, then copy, paste it, move it on the other side, and then go from there to the circles. As you can see, the circles are just CMY colors, and the wings are 85% black. Font is Century Gothic regular, okay? And the circles need to have a blend mode in overlay, but they also need to be Pathfinder, okay? So first thing is, when it comes to the pen tool, you want to only put anchors before and after the curve. So, you have to make a very long stroke, beginning and end. And to switch directions, you just hold the Option key and then you move the handle on the opposite direction. And then you pull. Okay? To take out the fill in color, you just go here into the fill color where it says none, click that. If you feel that this needs to be adjusted, this handle, all you have to do is select the command key, and then you can move that handles, right? And then this handle, Option key, and we move it into the other direction, and we do the same thing. You can either do it now or wait until you have done all of the wings to kind of make your adjustments. and bring your last stroke right here at the beginning of your first stroke, and you'll see a little circle on your pen. That means you're about to close your shape. So you click on it, hold, and then you can curve that last stroke that you made right there. Okay, and if you need to fix any of these anchors with the direct selection tool, you can click on them and adjust any curvatures that you think need some adjustment. You don't doesn't have to be perfectly the same as the sketch, but it has to be a much improved version than what you had there. Shift X will invert it, and then all we have to do is make sure that this is 85% black. So here under fill, this is the different tones, 85%, and enter. So it's not lowering the opacity, it's changing the percentage of the fill. Command C makes a copy. Command F will paste it in front, and then under properties you can invert your second copy, and we just move it in position. Okay, let's leave it there for now. So now we have to do 3 circles. We make one of them first. Okay, now we have one that is cyan, one that is magenta, cyan, and yellow. Okay. Okay, and let me fix this as best as possible. Now, right here on the appearance, on effects, okay, we look at opacity, and from normal we're going to overlay or try multiply. Multiply gives you the effect that you're looking for. Once you have that, you go into the Pathfinder, and on the Pathfinder you're gonna divide them, okay, and then after that you can see that they have been divided into different shapes. Okay, now the text, it's gonna be Century Gothic. Make sure it's well aligned, and make sure that the color is also 85% black. Okay, after you have created the text, you have to create it to outline. So you control click, create outlines. All right, now I'm going to hide my template so I can see my logo and make any adjustments that I think needs to be done. All right, I'm going to group my icon first, Command G, and I'm gonna make sure that it is well aligned with my name, well spaced out, and now I can group everything. And now I'm gonna save it as an EPS. So save as, And the name that is required, please make sure that you're using the name. And that is saved as an EPS. Click save. Great. Next step will be to open InDesign and follow the instructions. 8.5 by 11, 2 non-facing pages with 0.125 bleed, CMYK colors for the colors, any image minimum resolution 150, and the fonts as close as possible. Okay, and here's all the other instructions for step-by-step for naming, creating strokes, or anything else. So my file is gonna be 8.5 by 11 portrait. I need 2 pages, front and back, and non-facing pages. So where it says facing pages, I'm gonna uncheck that. Okay, you can create a grid. So I created a 12-column grid with a gutter of 1/8 of an inch in between. That will help me to lay out my content even better. Margins, we should look at what if there's any specified margins for the document. Okay, so there's no specific sizes for the margin, but I'll probably just use 1/2 inch since it's the most standard one for layout. So of my margins, they're gonna be about 1/2 inch, and the bleed 0.125 all around. I can preview my document by just clicking on preview here at the bottom, and here's my document, and then I click create. Okay, so in design you have your tools on the left, and on the right you have your palettes. Your control bar is at the top, and you also have all of the same menus you have on other softwares, except now you have a layout menu. You do have the type and the objects, and you also have a tables menu, and the window menu. That's where all of your palettes are. Okay, usually you work on the essentials palette just like in any other Adobe software, and you have your properties and your pages are the 2 main palettes that you'll be using. And you can also incorporate layers. Okay, so I usually create 2 layers. All right, one layer, the bottom one, will have my design, and the top one will have anything that goes on my master page. Well, I'm sorry, the parent page. So any page numbers, folios, lines that you want all over the place, I will probably put them in that parent page. Okay, and that way if I put a big image in the background of my design, the page number and anything else will be on top of it. So the first thing that I would do is go to the parent page. Whatever I do in this page will be added to any of the pages that have this letter A, because it's the A parent. So I'm gonna click on the parent layer because that's where I want to place my page number. And since my background is color, I'm gonna do my page number in white. But first thing you want to do is create a text box where you want your page number to be. Control click, insert special character, markers current page number. Okay. And then you can customize this to whatever font you want. Or color, font size, or alignment. So I'm gonna do it in white because my background is blue, so I get more contrast. Okay, there we go. So now if I wanna see anything on the pages or work on my pages, I need to double click on my pages. Okay, so the only way to be on the parent page is by double clicking on it, and to click out, double click on the page you wanna work on. Since I'm working on design, I'm gonna put design layer. I'm not working on the parent layer anymore. So I'm going to place my InDesign, my Photoshop background TIFF that I created. Okay. One thing that I noticed now is I didn't put the template, the pattern on the cloud. So I need to go back and do that. So this is going to show you how links work on InDesign also. Okay, so I'm going to bring that cloud, the sparkly template, texture, this one. Open. I'm gonna bring it into my Photoshop here. Make sure I resize it accordingly and place it over the cloud that I want the template in. And what I want is this shape right here. So I can grab that shape with the quick selection tool. Then select the template layer, and then at the bottom of the layer palette, just click the mask icon, and there it is. It's already been masked. Now I can save it and resave my TIFF, which I need to flatten. Image mode, set to RGB to CMYK. File, save as. Save it as TIFF. And since I made that change, when I go to InDesign, now you see on my InDesign a little triangle with an exclamation point. Okay? So if you go into links, this is where you'll see anything linked inside of your InDesign. And you can update link by clicking on this button with the refresh, or double clicking on this little icon, and now it updates automatically. So if I were to have that background in multiple designs, it will update anywhere where I place it, that design. Okay, so next thing that I would like to do here is this text right here. Okay, and I can create this easily with a table. Okay, so I gotta make sure that I get that text. So these are two text files. All right, first let me set up the paragraph content. I can lock this by going to my layers and lock this background so I don't touch it. Let me open this. Okay, so now I have both open, so now I can actually see what I'm trying to recreate. Awesome. So one thing that I can do here is also come into the PDF, and you can copy some of the text, but you already have most of it. This one will need to be typed in. So text box are like vector graphics, so they have anchor points and everything, so you just need to make the text box. Okay, and we can change all of the properties here on the properties palette. The fill, when you click on fill, you have apply to frame or apply to text. So whatever color you choose, if I choose apply to frame, it does it to the frame. If you change this to text, then I can just apply it to the text. Okay, so that text is exactly about 85% black. Okay, and also it's probably Helvetica, new light, and it's volume 3, I believe. Perfect. Now for this part right here, I can do that in a table, and that's something you could also use for your menu. So to add a table, create, and you tell how many rows and columns you want. So this one right here has the title, 1, 2, 3 rows. So body rows will be 3, columns would be 2, and one header row, which would be this one. Okay, and now I click OK, and the tables live inside of an actual text box. So all you have to do is click and drag, and as you can see, the table is too big for my text box because right here I have a little cross. So that's telling me there's overset text, so I can just expand that. And now this is the header row. So if I want to merge them, all I have to do is highlight them with the type tool. So anything you want to do on the tables with the type tool. So I'll highlight them and merge. All right, so here is my title. Okay, here is the information. So I can actually pull and make columns and rows bigger by just pulling on them. So let's say I want bigger area for the names. And I can highlight my title here, and I'm gonna change this eyedropper color theme to eyedropper 2. Okay, and I can click right here on the font. Didn't copy it because it was highlighting the whole thing. 1 second. There we go. So now I grab the eyedropper tool, and it should copy the font right there. See that? So that looks a lot bigger than what it should be. But let me just type everything else. Okay, so let me highlight this 3 and Helvetica new light. Make this font smaller. So try to match it as best as possible from what you're seeing over here. This is actually condensed. So that's not the right Helvetica. Yeah, the condense is too bold, so I'll probably go with just Helvetica new. Okay, there we go. Now, to get rid of these lines, to control the lines, the header and the rows, they're separate. So you have to do each one individually. But once you highlight the cells, right here at the top, you guys see where it says Adobe InDesign 2024, you have this square graphic with blue lines and gray lines. The blue ones means that they're selected right now, and the gray ones are not selected. So if you see, only the blue ones outside are selected. So right now I can make those strokes thicker, thinner, or disappear, and I can also change the color on them. So to affect the color of the cells and the chart, you use this right here. So if I want to change or disappear all of the lines in between and outside, I need to click here in this graphic all of the lines that I want to affect. So now they're all blue, and all I have to do here is just put 0 points and the strokes already disappeared. Same thing here, all of them are blue. Change this to 0, they'll disappear. There we go. And my fonts, they need to be 85% black. So property, fill, apply to text, black, 85%. Return, and that's it. Okay. All right, so just gotta make sure that it's well aligned and that is well spaced out. This should be a little bit higher, aligned with the name. And there's also a little blue line here. So with the line tool, I can create that. Remember, everything that goes to the edge needs to go the way to the bleed. All right, so there it is. Now, let's say I wanted to grab the colors from this background and have them in my swatches palette. So if I go to Window, Colors, and here I have swatches. Here's all the colors that I have on my fill, right? And they're all CMYK. If I want, let's say, this same blue right here, instead of the eyedropper tool, there's this color theme tool. So I'm gonna grab it, and wherever I put it, I can click, and he will grab all of the colors from that. So here's the light blue, the dark blue, and all of them, and I can select the ones I want and just add them to my swatches, and they're all in CMYK already. So now that little line, all I have to do is select the right blue that I want. So clicking here on the stroke, and it should be probably this blue. So there, I have my blue line. Once I deselect everything and I click on the letter W, then I can preview my entire document. So far, it's looking pretty good. All right, so next step, title. Text, it has a drop cap, it's 3 columns. It has a text wrap on the image. It links to the second page. There is a text box, okay, with hanging quotations, all right? Logo, lines, all this text inserted, all this stuff needs to be recreated. So I'm just gonna do it as quickly as possible, but also letting you know what I'm doing in the meantime. All right, so the first thing is, let me recreate this title. So I'm gonna copy it from here, and I'm gonna make a text box, the letter W, and this seems like it's not Baskerville, the font that we're using, but we're using Garamond. Garamond Semi. So here we go. And this seems to be way smaller. And it's italic also. So if you can't find it, you can look for a similar one. So once you have the Garamond, right here, these 2 lines will show similar fonts. And then you can look for a similar one that has italic, and then you can make it smaller and the right color. So this is white, and this should be red. Okay, now you can bring back your guidelines, align it correctly in your margins, the box, okay? And if you want to increase everything at the same time, this name looks pretty big still, so maybe right about there. And then this one, increase it right about there. Okay, next thing is I'll bring my text. So I'm making a big box, and then I'm gonna split it up into columns. So here's my text file, and here's all the text I need. And Command V, and there's the text that I would need. First, Command A, and I'm gonna change it to the Helvetica that I need. And it's more of a Helvetica condensed. If you can't find the actual Helvetica, then just look for a condensed font that is similar to what the text is, and if not, then just go with a sans serif that's close to it. And I'm probably gonna do like 10. All right, now to get all of this text to look more like this, first thing is we need to split this up into columns. So I'm gonna go into properties, and I'm gonna go all the way down. Make sure you have the box selected, okay? And here you have text frame, okay? You could do it there, or you can easily go to Object, text frame options. Okay? Object text frame options. Here you can change this to 3 columns. Okay? Gutter space, make sure it's the same as the document you created, so it's like 1/8 of an inch. All right? Balance columns will help out as well. All right? And everything else is pretty much stays the same. Okay? So I also need to make sure that the font and everything else is correct. So let me change the fill white, and that font I'm not convinced from it. So I think it was this one. There we go. Okay, and maybe a little bit smaller, 10 points right there. Okay, now as you can see, I need more text here. So one, it looks like my font is too small, so I'm gonna make it 2 points bigger. Okay, also I'm here in the characters, maybe 1 point bigger. Okay, also under paragraph, I can adjust the space in between the paragraphs. So this one right here is the space after paragraph. So if I increase it, you can see the space between paragraphs right there. Okay. And now I'm gonna bring my image and text wrap it. Okay. Now remember, this image goes from the bleed to bleed, just like your example over here. Okay, so put it on the bleed line, somewhere around here, click and drag. Okay, once it's in there, under properties, or you go to your window, you'll find text wrap, and the second option will wrap around the bounding box, and the third one around the image. So if you have a cropped image in Photoshop, it will text wrap around the edge of the image. So that's how you do people that are cut out and the text goes around it, is with this third option. But we need this one. Okay, so there, it pushed the text away. And also, you see how tight it is at the top? So let me increase the text wrap around it, and that seems to be helping enough. Awesome. Okay. If you need to space it out a little bit more or anything, you can still do that. Now also, I need a drop cap. So I'm gonna place my cursor at the beginning of the initial paragraph, and under properties paragraph, the last option in the first column is the drop cap. So all I need to do is increase that. And drop caps are usually 3 lines at least. So you can see the first letter pushes down 3 lines. It's good to determine the first line of every article. So you don't need it in every paragraph, only at the beginning of the articles. Okay? There it is. So it's looking pretty close to what we're supposed to have here. If I click on W, there it is. Okay. One thing I'm noticing here is this image is not touching the bleed fully, so I'm going to my layers, unlocking the background, and I'm gonna make this background larger. So I'm gonna hold the Command and the Shift key and pull that background until it fills to the bleed. Okay. Right there. So the background or the image is always independent from the frame, right? So in order for me to increase or decrease any image, I need to hold down Command Shift. And Shift is so I can make it in proportion, and Command so that both the frame and the image inside or the text will increase in size. Then I let go, and then I can crop whatever excess I have. So that has been fixed. Okay, now I can go into my next page, and first thing I also need here is a background. So I'm gonna make a big square, solid rectangle that goes from the bleed to the bleed in my design layer. And I'm gonna make sure I fill it out with the same blue that I've been using. There we go. Layers, lock it. Okay, since it's the second page, you're only gonna see what you have per page or on the parent page in your layer. So notice how on my layers I only have one rectangle on the design part because I'm in page 2, but when I'm in page 1, you see everything that is on page 1. Okay, if I move to the parent page, on the parent page, you should see my text box, but oh, it's here on the parent layer. You see that? So the layers are organized per page depending on the layer that you have it. Okay, so how do I bring that text over to the next page? By creating a text link. So I'm going to click on this square with a red cross, click on it. Okay, and I'm gonna bring that into this page and make a text box, and there's my text again. I'm gonna go into object, text frame options, and the same thing, do a 3-column with a 1/8 of an inch gutter. All right, and click OK. I'm gonna cut this up probably to there. All right, now I need to make this little box here with this quote, so I'm gonna copy it. Okay, and I'm just gonna make another gray square that goes probably onto like half this square, something like that. So it's more or less, right? And I'm gonna make it gray. Probably like 50%. See how that looks. Yep, perfect. Okay, so what I wanna do here is, first, I'm gonna double click with the type tool on the box, and you see a cursor in it. So if I do Command V, I can paste my quote in there. You guys see that? And now, in order for it not to be right here on the margin, on the edge, I can create a margin. So I go to Object, Text Frame Options, Inset Spacing. So look how I can increase the margin for that frame box, and there's my text. Click OK. So now try to make it look as close as possible to this. I need something that's not Medium Pro. Oh, that's too much. Okay, I can filter my fonts right here where it says filter. I can look for exactly what I'm looking for. So here I have different types of properties, you know, condense. If I'm looking for serifs, I can click serifs. Do I want it lightweight, lightweight? So you can filter right here on your characters palette, okay? I'm looking for an italic one, but I don't have many here on this computer. So let me clear the filters and see if I can find one. I'll go with this one so far. All right. Increase the font size. All right, so you guys see here how this text, the quote does align with the text below, but not the text below here. So in order for me to fix this, I can do that in the paragraph palette. So I can, with this first two, right, I can move my text inward, and then the first line, I can move it, whoops, the first line. Wait a second. Yeah, it's that one. And then the first line here, move it backwards. There we go. If I want, I can send this text in a little bit more by highlighting it, and there it is. So that I've aligned my text, and my first quotation mark now is offset, and I did that in the paragraph palette. Paragraph palette, you have total control of everything from spacing above or below paragraph, the first line spacing, indent, moving the first or the last line in and out. So paragraph palette and characters palette has all of your settings, and this needs to be on blue. And if any of you have to go, I'm still recording this, so I'll have it up there as soon as possible. Okay. Now, here what I want to do is text wrap this object, text frame options. And I'm going to click ignore text wrap. That's for this text inside of the actual text. So I click OK. Well, click OK. And now I'm going to add the text wrap to it. Window, text wrap, and increase it just a little bit to separate it. There we go. Okay, and at the bottom also. Okay, and now I gotta make sure that the text down here fits within my text. There we go. Next step is this box is too big because shouldn't be that big. Bring in the logo, Command D. This is on my desktop. Probably like 3 columns width. I'll make another text box because I have one here. Okay, I need to put this text here in this box. Align it to the right side. Make sure it's white. Okay. Italic, which I can't believe I don't have an italic font here, but I'll use this one. Oh, this one is good. And inset the text. Okay. Okay, and also I need this text right here and align. Make sure it's the right color and it's centered, which should be blue. Go. And prepaid postage, same thing. Make a shape. The outline should be in dots, so right here under the stroke palette, you could do that up here too. You can change the profile to Japanese dots, and that creates dotted lines, and also change the color to, I think it's a gray, so I'll change it here. All right, and I need the type tool and prepaid postage. This is on Helvetica bold condensed. Oh, Helvetica bold, something like this. There we go. And should be centered, larger, more spaced out. So just try to do it as best as possible. Here we go. I'm gonna make it gray also, and indent it from the top instead. So top, there we go. Okay. All right, and I can make this a little bit smaller also. Okay. Now the page number disappeared from the second page because, well, the one I have is white, so let's add one that is in color. So this parent page, since it has that white number, I'm going to duplicate it, right? And I'll have a B, but the B one, I'm going to change the color to that into blue. That page number is gonna be blue. And if you can see now it has a little B on it, that's because this is the B parent. And if I want to apply it to this page, all I have to do is click and drag it on top of it. And when you get to page 2, now you'll see that applied, and page 1 has been applied, and this is pretty much done. So something I didn't do was to save, so anything could have happened and I would have lost the entire project. So just please make sure you save. That's one issue that I also forget all the time. And this should be name, last first name, initial, underscore flyer. So I'm gonna just save it here for now. And now I'm gonna be able to package it. So I'm gonna go to File, Package. Make sure there's no errors. Everything's in YK, ready to go. Package, continue. And I'm gonna place it on my desktop. That's the name of the folder, okay? And it's gonna include the fonts, the links, any updates, a PDF, an IDML, which is another version of your InDesign for older versions. So if you can't open on InDesign, you can go back and take a look at that one. And then you just click Package. Now, on my package folder, I have my fonts, the links, I have the EPS of the logo, the TIFF of the background, and the image as a TIFF also. Now, all I need to do is add the PSD of the background into my folder, and I also have a PDF and both InDesign files. This one is the one that I compress and upload onto Canvas for my submission before the due time.